老师是 Wendy 老师。然后今天的话呢，老师跟大家分享的是我们这个 SBM 的 listening。因为其实老师也知道大家呢，在下个星期的时候就陆陆续续会有这个正式的 SBM listening 跟 speaking， 对吗？所以有很多同学都有跟老师提到，就是说这个 listening 不知道该怎么办。所以老师今天特地呢录了这个 video，然后呢里面老师有放了一些练习在里面跟 listening 的部分。所以同学们，你在听这个老师的 video 的时候呢，可能呢你就是边做这个 listening 的练习，好不好？所以呢你要拿出一张白纸 ，OK， 拿出一张纸啦，然后呢拿出你的文具。所以等一下老师会一边给你听，你就一边听的时候呢，一边尝试去听一听到底那个答案是什么，好不好？当然这个东西也是在你考试之前可以做的最后的冲刺。坦白讲，这个 listening 的部分呢，很多同学都问老师，这样老师这一个部分有什么技巧吗？其实它真的是要靠你多听，然后呢，你就会抓到底这个里面的这个 MP3 啊，它里面在讲的东西内容啊是什么。这样你慢慢听，就会慢慢更加的明白，可以吗？希望老师这个影片呢是可以帮到你的 ，OK？ 因为 practice make perfect， 所以你就听越多呢，你就会越熟悉。OK， 所以同学们准备好你的纸跟笔哦。OK， 这样老师先要开始第一个 listening 的部分，可以吗 ？OK 啊，所以同学们准备好啊，所以你们直接拿出你们的笔，老师会不用 bring 题目出来的，你是直接看着老师的这个 screen 这一边，然后呢，底下你在听的时候你就直接写答案，这样可以吗 ？OK， 这样老师播第一个 MP3 啊 ，OK， 来注意听。
You will hear people talking in 7 different situations. Question 1. You hear a girl talking about how she got to school. Mom usually drives me to school every morning, but this morning her car wouldn't start. She asked me to catch a bus instead, but we soon realized the bus ride would take too long. It would be quicker to get a taxi rather than wait for the bus. Finally, Mom tried starting her car one last time and it worked. We arrived just as the bell rang. Question 2. You hear 2 people talking about a new computer. Have you been using your new computer? To be honest, I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. I have too many books on my study desk. There's simply no space for the new computer. Do you think you'll buy a bigger desk for your computer? I don't think so. If I can't make room for it on my study desk, I'll just set it up in the living room. Question 3. You hear a woman talking about a restaurant. Last week, my sister and I went to the Thai Palace for lunch. We ordered their signature seafood Thai curry for sharing. The curry was delicious and the fish chunks were fresh and meaty. But given the hefty price tag, we expected a larger portion. We shared a mango sticky rice for dessert. I thought it looked plain and uninteresting, but both of us were pleased with its rich flavor. Question 4. You hear a boy talking about a movie. The acting in this movie was simply excellent. There were moments where I forgot that I was watching a movie. Even though the story took place in the future, I didn't find it ridiculous or unbelievable at all. There were multiple storylines, but the choice of lighting helped the audience keep track of each story. The only downside was that the ending was no surprise. A happy ending for everyone. Question 5. You hear an English teacher talking to students in class. Today's class will be a little different. Before you start writing your book review, get into groups of 4 and discuss the study questions that I just handed out. Write down what your group members say because it might give you new ideas to put in the essay. If you want to learn more about the topic, you can choose to do some online research after school. Question 6. You hear a student talking about playing football. Well, If you are serious about getting better at something, the only way is to buckle down and improve your skills. That's more helpful than buying any fancy equipment. I started jogging every morning, and that really got me running faster. It made a huge difference. I also began studying how other great footballers played and tried to copy their moves. I thought it helped quite a bit as well. Question 7. You hear part of a travel program. At Cameron Highlands, the best thing to do is either go pick strawberries at a strawberry farm or visit a butterfly farm. Cameron Highlands is also known for its excellent hiking trail, the perfect adventure for the nature lovers. However, the majority of visitors prefer a more relaxing experience. That's why the butterfly farm is always packed, even more so than the popular strawberry farms. So why wait? Visit Cameron Highlands today.
OK， 好，同学们，所以这个是刚刚的这个我们的 listening 可以吗？大家都有跟到吗？所以它是一题一题的，好不好 ？OK 啊，所以如果你刚刚在听的时候你没有办法跟得到的话，没有关系，你再拉回老师的这个YouTube 的 video 拉去前面，你再听多一次，好不好 ？OK， 老师现在会讲答案啊，可能老师在讲答案之前，你可能还需要再听多一次，你拉去前面先，你就不要看答案先，明白吗？OK 啊，但是老师先讲答案先，所以如果你需要听2次的话，你自己可以拉去前面再听一听，让自己确定一下那个答案先，好不好？可以啊，这样老师我现在公布这个答案的部分。OK， 来，这样这个答案的话，第一题是 C， 第二题 A， 第三题是 C， 第四题是 C， 第5题是 boy， 第6题是 A， 第7题呢是 boy， 好不好？所以你可以自己检查一下这个答案。所以老师呢都会给你听一听这个video 那个 audio， 听了过后，如果你真的需要听多一次，你自己拉回去前面的部分 ，OK 吗？可以啊。将来我们现在到多一个，老师再给你多一个 practice，OK？ 好，这样全班同学准备啊，准备好 ，OK？ 老师开始播这个 audio。
You will hear people talking in 7 different situations. Question 1. You hear a teacher talking to students about a camping trip. For tomorrow's camping trip, here is a list of what to bring and what not to bring. Since it will be a short day trip, there's no need to bring your toothbrush and toothpaste. However, make sure you have some insect repellent with you at all times to keep the bugs away. Water bottles will be given to you on the bus, but feel free to bring your own water bottles too. Do you have any questions? Question 2. You hear 2 friends talking about books. Wow! You've got such a huge collection of books. I see there's a whole section of crime novels. Are those your favorite? I don't mind them, but my dad is really into crime novels. Personally, I find adventure stories far more interesting than crime novels. I'm all right with adventure stories. My favorite is still science fiction. I couldn't agree more. Even adventure stories are not as exciting as stories that take place on other planets. Question 3. You hear 2 students talking about school. Why didn't you come to the art club meeting yesterday, Zalila? I had to practice badminton. The competition will take place next month and I really want to win it. Oh, I see. I thought you went shopping for some groceries with your mom. That was last week. Then, can you come to our next meeting? Sorry, I think I have a doctor's appointment on that day. Maybe next time. Question 4. You hear a teacher giving feedback to a student about an essay. In your story, you talked about your experience of losing a competition and how you picked yourself back up. The beginning of your story hooked me. I couldn't wait to see what would happen next. The ending of your story was particularly well written. It motivated me to overcome my own disappointments too. You could give your characters even stronger personalities to make the story more interesting. But all in all, well done. Question 5. You hear a conversation between a patient and a dentist. I have a terrible toothache. It really hurts. Let me take a look. I don't think it's because of your braces. They look fine. It seems like you have a big cavity on one of your teeth. Can the tooth be saved? I don't think it needs to be extracted at this point. Do you have time now? Let's put some filling instead. It will only take about half an hour. Question 6. You hear a talk about a rainforest in Malaysia. Taman Negara is one of the oldest rainforests in the world, with an estimated age of 130 million years. With an affordable entry fee, you can enjoy some of the most stunning views of nature. That in itself is worth a visit, but many travelers also wish to explore the 1,000-year-old limestone caves or go on a hike. However, hiking in Taman Negara isn't for everyone. The trails can be difficult and challenging. Question 7. You hear radio show talking about managing finances. When people talk about managing finances, the first thing that comes to mind is save, save, save. But how do we decide what to save on and what to spend on? That's why knowing the difference between need and want is so critical. Firstly, we should always spend money on what we need, not what we want. If we always spend on what we want, there will be no money left to spend on necessary things.
OK，好了吗，同学们？所以一样的啊，如果这个部分你刚刚听了过后，可能还想再听多一次来确定答案，你自己拉回老师前面的 video 啊。姜老师现在公布这个答案的部分。OK， 来，第一题是 boy， 然后第二题是 C， 第三题是 boy， 然后第四题也是 boy， 第五题 C， 第六题是 A， 第七题呢是 C 的部分。OK， 同学们，当你在听的时候呢，你要抓它的 keyword， 你要听一听到底这个 keyword 里面在讲的东西是什么呢？好不好 ？OK 啊，所以多听呢，肯定你会更进步的。OK， 所以姜老师现在接去下一个练习了，好不好？所以大家注意听哦，下一个。OK， 接下来现在老师会给你听的是下一个的练习，同学们一样准备好哦。姜老师开始播这个audio 了啊。
You will hear a successful pop singer talking about his career. Good afternoon, everyone. Nick here. I'm honored to be here to talk to you about my music journey. How did I become a successful pop singer? I get this question a lot. Well, I don't have a formula for success, but I can share my own journey with you. As many of you know, my singing career started on the internet. I covered the most popular songs of the day, and I gained a small yet supportive following. One day, a record label discovered me and asked me if I wanted to become a professional singer. I agreed without a moment of hesitation. Even my parents only learned of my decision much later. As I began singing professionally, only my original fans noticed me. Success only came when I launched my third single, Believe. Unlike my first two singles, which were upbeat dance songs, Believe was my story about never giving up. That's when I realized that dance songs are great, people love them, but only songs that are raw, true and honest, can touch people's hearts. When fans can relate to your songs, you're halfway there already. For all aspiring singers, songwriters, producers out there, you also need to learn how to collaborate with other talented people. Collaboration brings freshness to your music. When you work with others, you pick up new techniques and learn about other up-and-coming artists out there. For example, I'm someone who writes his own songs, so listening to new music is like my version of going to school. The more I learn, the more my music grows. For instance, I used to write most of my songs on the piano, but after working with Belgian DJ Strings, I incorporated more drums and heavy beats in my last album. Music critics called my new style a change for the better, and fans flooded my social media page to tell me how refreshing it was. The only person who isn't too happy about all this is my mom. You see, she is a piano teacher. My final piece of advice is, if you want to make it big, you need much more than just good guidance from a singing mentor. Some successful artists sing and dance, while others like me choose to sing and write. Whatever it is, find the combination which makes you stand out.
OK， 同学们可以吗？这个会比较难一点点哦，所以如果你想要再听回去一样，你把老师的 video 拉去前面再听多一轮，好不好？因为这个是他整个串起来的一个故事，你要自己想到听到，不像前面那个一题一题告诉你的哦，所以这个是你要听完整个东西，你比较知道它的答案在哪里，好吗 ？OK， 这样老师先讲答案啊。如果你需要听多一次的，拉去前面再听一听。然后来，这个答案是第一题是 C， 第二题也是 C， 第三题 boy， 第四题 A， 第五题 C， 第六题 A， 第七题是 C， 然后第八题是 boy， 可以吗 ？OK 啊，同学们，好来，这样我们接下去下一个部分 ，OK， 好来，所以这个部分呢，老师希望你可以多听，多听的话肯定是可以帮到你的。这样我们这边还有多一个的这个跟刚才差不多一样的 practice， 但是呢，题目是不一样的。所以同学们可以多做这一方面的练习。OK， 老师开始播这个 audio。
You will hear a talk by a woman who is a journalist. Hello, my name is Rachel. Let me tell you what it's like to work as a journalist. There will be a Q&A session at the end. Some people confuse journalists with news anchors. I'm a journalist, so my main job is to go out there and meet people and write the news report. News anchors, on the other hand, are a little different. Although some news anchors also write their news script and interview people, they mainly work in the studio. I prefer being a journalist because I have more control over how my day goes. I don't mind reading off a prepared script, but I can't do that every day. If you're thinking about becoming a journalist, you might wonder what a day in our lives look like. Being a journalist is not a 9-to-5 job. Our work begins whenever there is a story, and there really is no fixed weekend or holiday for us. Technology has also changed the way we work. Nowadays, news is everywhere. We try to find the next big story through social media and get ourselves to the scene by running, driving, you name it, in the shortest amount of time. You might think our job turns us into drifting travelers. In a way, you're right. When I'm working on a big assignment, I might be away from home for weeks just to cover that story. On the bright side, though, this only happens once in a blue moon. This means I still get to enjoy a nice meal with family and friends. But I admit, it's hard to tell them about the ups and downs of my life because my lifestyle is so different from theirs. I think being a journalist is tough work, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. Some people compare us to writers because we write so much. I'd like to think of us more as detectives with a stage. We get to investigate the truth, then bring our knowledge to people all over the world. You also need a wide range of skills to become a respectable journalist. I had to learn the hard way how to conduct interviews, do research, write and edit my work, and meet tight deadlines.
OK， 可以吗？所以一样啊，听不到的话，你再拉多一次去听一听。OK， 老师先讲一讲这个的答案。OK， 第一题的话呢是 boy，OK， 第二题也是 boy， 第三题是 C， 第四题的话也是 boy， 第五题 C， 第六题 boy， 第七题是 A， 然后第八题的话呢是 A， 好不好？所以希望你越听的话呢是越来越熟练。所以老师也希望你多听，可以让你帮到你下个星期的 listening。所以可以的话呢，你就一直 practice 拿来听。老师特地放好多个的这个 listening， 可能你可以慢慢听，分几次来听都 OK， 好不好？这样我们接下去下一个啊 ，OK， 好来 ，OK， 来这个部分的话呢是另外一个部分了，所以同学们准备好你的笔跟纸哦 ，OK。
You will hear 5 short extracts in which people are talking about plastics and plastic waste. Speaker 1. Don't get me wrong, I'm no supporter of plastics, but I don't think it's wise to ban them before we can find an eco-friendly alternative. That's why the government should be pushing for technological innovation. There seems to be lots of buzz around using compressed mushrooms to replace plastic. Fancy that! Speaker 2. Plastics are light, hygienic, and can be made into all kinds of shapes. We can keep food and beverages in plastic wrapping or plastic bottles. Furthermore, some plastics can resist chemicals, which makes them great containers. Despite these benefits, plastics can take up to 100 years to break down in the landfills. Speaker 3. In my opinion, drinks packed in plastic bottles should be made illegal. All it takes is for the government to pass a law. Beverage companies can be ordered to use glass bottles or other environmentally friendly packaging. There's only so much consumers can do. I think the change should begin with the big companies. Speaker 4. Did you know that only less than 15% of the plastics are being recycled? Authorities need to set up more recycling bins around the city. As consumers, we should also actively look for these bins to recycle our plastic waste. There's no reason not to do so. Let's start today. Speaker 5. There was a news report about how plastic bits were found in fish and sea turtles. These innocent ocean animals mistake plastic bags for food. And now, when we eat seafood, we end up eating our own plastic waste. I can't imagine myself eating plastics. Yuck! That's why I became a vegetarian.
OK， 可以吗，同学们？这个还算是比较简单一点点，好不好？所以听不到再听多一次哦。OK， 老师公布答案。OK， 来第一题的话呢是 boy， 第二题 speaker 2，and then 是 F，speaker 3 G，speaker 4是 E，speaker 5是 donkey， 好不好？可以啊。OK， 将来我们再接下去多一个这样的练习。所以来，老师准备开了这个 audio， 注意听哦。
You will hear 5 short extracts in which students are talking about the way they study. Speaker 1. Unlike most people, I can't focus on anything in the morning. I know, right? It's so strange. Whenever I see the sunrise, I just want to get back in bed. I like to study just before dinner. When I study my notes during this time, Speaker 2. I like to study in a quiet atmosphere. I never understood how some people can study in a restaurant or a cafe. I need complete silence, so that's why I generally begin my studies early in the morning, just when the sun is about to rise. That keeps my mind fresh and alert. Speaker 3. So you want to know how I study? I like to recall my notes. What do I mean by that? That means I ask myself questions and test myself to see how much I remember. I find that I remember more through testing myself than rereading a chapter 4 or 5 times. Speaker 4. Let me give you one tip on how to study. Rewrite your notes. For me, my notes are usually all over the places across so many different worksheets. So I like to rewrite and compile all my notes into a notebook. This helps me organize my thoughts and also helps me review what I've learned. Speaker 5. If I study alone, I'll just end up surfing the internet or doing something else. I get distracted so easily. That's why I prefer studying with my friends in the library. We might be studying different subjects, but when everyone's working hard, I'm motivated to concentrate and try my best.
OK， 可以吗？所以这个听的部分 ，OK， 一样的听不，如果想再听多一次，可以拉回去前面啊。OK， 老师讲一讲这个答案的部分。OK， 来我们来看第一题是 E， 第二个 Speaker 是 C， 第三个是 Boy Speaker 3 and then Speaker 4 Donkey Speaker 5是 A， 好不好 ？OK， 这样老师接多一个啊，下一个 Listening 的部分。OK， 来，这个是 interview dialogue 的，这个会稍微比较难，所以你要注意听哦。因为呢，这个部分是要你自己亲自写那个答案进去里面的，可以吗？所以呢，它会比较难一点点。OK， 这样老师开始播了啊，大家注意听哦。
You will hear a chef, Shafiq, talking about his life story as a celebrity chef. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our radio show. I'm your host, Stephanie. Today, we have celebrity chef Shafiq with us today. Hi, Stephanie. It's great to be on the show. So, Shafiq, can you tell us a little bit about how it all started? Growing up, I've always imagined myself becoming a doctor. That was what my father did. So I thought I would follow his footsteps and study medicine in college. But guess what? I ended up becoming a chef. When I was studying in university, I took a course in nutrition. That course really opened my eyes. I realized the effect that food has on our health. Many people think that only doctors can help improve a person's health. That's simply not true. A chef is equally important in protecting a person's health. The other reason is I really love cooking. The thought of being able to do what I love as a career helped me make my decision. So after graduating, I did not apply to work at a hospital. From medical school to kitchen, how interesting! Yes, I surprised both my family and myself. I began working in a vegetarian restaurant called Explorers, like all those people who go on adventures. However, my first job there wasn't in the kitchen. My first job was serving tables as a waiter. You see, there was no job opening in the kitchen at the time, but the restaurant needed a waiter. I can relate to that. I didn't start off as a radio show host either. My first job was in the movie industry. I learned many skills there. Yes, you sort of discover yourself in the process. For me, being a waiter was so much fun. I remember one time, a customer wanted to order a dish, but was terrible at giving clues about the dish. Like a detective, I tried to figure out what he wanted. At first, I thought he wanted to order a soup. But then I realized it was our restaurant's signature dessert. And I was right. The customer was extremely satisfied, and even my manager complimented me on my excellent service. So when did you start working in the kitchen? Well, not long after one of the chefs quit his job. He was moving back to Terengganu with his family, so I applied to work in the kitchen. Oh, was I excited when I got the job. I started in the kitchen by washing and chopping the vegetables. I did that for 2 whole months before I cooked my first dish on a stove. The first dish I made was a vegetarian sandwich. I will never forget that day. After working in Explorers for about 3 years, I felt I was ready. I never forgot my dream. I wanted to prepare delicious, healthy food for everyone, so I designed my first menu. When I finished that, I knew the hardest part was over. I was so proud of what I achieved. I bet people couldn't wait to try out your restaurant. I also thought that success would come easily. But much to our disappointment, we didn't get many customers for a whole year. I tried posting videos about the restaurant on the internet. I put out ads on newspapers and magazines. Nothing worked. But your restaurant is now a huge success. So what changed? One day, a famous editor of a lifestyle magazine came to our restaurant. We didn't recognize him, but we did try our best, as always. The next day, he published a 4-page review about our restaurant in the magazine. That's when everything changed for our restaurant. Suddenly, we get people queuing up in the heat. The change was unbelievable. I am forever grateful to that editor until today.
OK， 可以吗？所以这个部分其实老师是觉得你需要再去听多一次的，因为它会比较难一点点。OK， 但是老师先说答案，如果有需要你听多一次，你绝对是可以这样再拉回去前面再重听多一次，好不好？可以啊，希望你可以认真听，然后呢可以进步你的 listening。OK， 这样我们来看一下这个部分。OK， 这个答案呢，第一个是 Doctor Nutrition Explorers OK Waiter Dessert Apply Sandwich Design Success Editor OK， 所以这个呢是我们的这个答案。OK， 你可以改一改，看一看你的答案对还是不对，可以吗 ？OK 啊，希望你越对越多。当然，这个 listening 的部分可以帮助你呢，在考试当中拿到一个25分的分数。坦白讲，这个部分是蛮重要的，因为 SPM 现在分成4张 paper，so paper 1、paper 2、paper 3、paper 4。OK， 这个 listening 是其中一张 paper， 然后是占据25分的，可以吗 ？OK， 这样我们继续听下一个部分。OK， 来这个准备好你的笔跟纸了，好不好？注意听啊。
You will hear a girl, Olivia, talking about her holiday. Hey Olivia, how was your holiday? Great. My family and I just got back from Queenstown, New Zealand. It was amazing. Can you tell me more about your trip to Queenstown? Sure. Have you ever been to New Zealand? No. I see. So New Zealand is sort of like Malaysia. Malaysia has East and West Malaysia, whereas New Zealand consists of North Island and South Island. I went to Queenstown, which was located in the South Island. Queenstown is known for its beautiful nature, so we spent most of our time outdoors. What did you do? We didn't want to start off our holiday with anything too exciting, so we didn't go bungee jumping or anything like that. On our first day in Queenstown, we drove to a lake and enjoyed an afternoon picnic there. The weather was a little chilly at about 20 degrees Celsius. 20 degrees is freezing. You'll get used to it after a while. 20 degrees is quite comfortable if you're sitting in the afternoon sun. What else did you do? On the second day, we planned something a little more exciting. We went on a short cruise. Halfway through the cruise, the tour guide said in an excited voice, "Everyone, Please gather at the right side of the cruise ship immediately. Guess what? You might think we saw some dolphins, but no. A family of penguins came to say hi. They were swimming in the crystal clear water right next to our cruise ship. My phone was out of battery, so I couldn't take a picture. My sister was enjoying the view, and Dad went to the toilet and missed the whole thing. Luckily, Mom was able to take a few shots and shared them on the family chat. That must be the highlight of your trip. I thought so too, until the third day. We went skydiving. It's the sport of jumping out of a plane using a parachute. Wow, skydiving! Any tips or tricks? When you go skydiving, make sure you eat a light meal in the morning. Never go on an empty stomach. How did the jump go? I've never done skydiving before. Right before the jump, I could feel my heart beating much faster than usual. I was going to change my mind and skip my jump, but the instructor already came over with the skydiving equipment. She strapped some equipment onto both of us and told me to relax. Then we jumped out the plane together. Wow, what an exciting feeling! I could hear a constant loud rush of the wind. It sounded like a tropical storm in my ears. Next was the smell. I smelled cold, fresh air, like the kind of air you smell on top of a mountain. Then I realized I was looking at the world from a bird's point of view. I could see everything far, far away. The fields, the trees, the rivers, the cars. Everything looked tiny from high above. Shortly after, my instructor pulled open our parachute and everything slowed down to a peaceful glide. What went through your mind? How did you feel when you were skydiving? I think it's different for everyone. My sister felt free, but I felt confident. I realized that I could do all the things that once scared me and held me back. Wow, what a feeling! Maybe I will go skydiving one day too. Absolutely. If you get the chance to do it, I really think you should. Even I want to do it again.
OK，可以吗？可以啊。所以这个部分的话，一样的听一听，然后再多听一次。如果真的跟不到的话，慢慢去学会听得懂这些 listening。因为在你考试这边25分，老师觉得是很大的一个分数，可以帮到你的，好不好 ？OK， 这样老师给你答案，你检查一下。OK， 来第一个 consist，OK， 然后第二个是 picnic，OK， 第二个答案是我们的 picnic。Then after that， 下一个就到我们的 use。OK， 然后呢 ，right penguins mother， 然后第7题 light， 第8题 equipment， 第9题 storm， 第10题 confident， 可以吗 ？OK， 所以呢，这整个 for 我们的这个 listening 的部分呢，坦白讲，老师觉得是非常大帮助的。如果你每一个都有认真去听 ，OK， 老师也很希望可以帮到大家。因为毕竟这个 SPM 呢只有一次 ，OK， 人生中只有一次，对不对？所以呢，可以考得很好，这样就尽全力的去发挥。所以老师希望这个影片呢有帮到你，然后可以让你在 listening 这边呢更加的去进步，更加的容易的听得明白。OK，because practice always make perfect。OK，so 这样我们这个的话 ，good luck 啊 ，good luck for 你的 listening next week 的这个 listening 的 exam， 好不好？可以吗？如果有什么问题的话，也是可以告诉老师。OK， 这样我们下次见哦。好的，拜拜。